Hi folks, and welcome back to another painting table update. Still working on my 28mm Napoleonics with speed paints and various other things as well. So moving on from last week, I started experimenting with different types of undercoats, dry brushing and various things like that to try and see if I could enhance the use of the speed paints. So from last week, I remember this guy here. There's basically a light grey with a white wash over the top of him. It's come out pretty well. So I started looking at different ways of undercoating to see if that changed things. So this guy here is a light grey. The colour I used is the ash grey. And then I applied one coat of the speed paint hardened leather. Yeah, it worked really well, I must admit. Quite impressed. I've used a slightly darker brown for his mane and tail, but yeah, it looks quite good. So I thought I'd move on. This one here, same colour, the hardened leather, but on a white undercoat instead. So same colour as you can see used, but obviously very, very different colour finish. Must admit I prefer this one. It's just slightly more denser. Does make the colour pop with the white, but yeah, I think I'm convinced I'm quite happy with this one with the light grey coating underneath. So we should be keeping with that. And I thought about whites and how I could do whites using speed paints. Yeah, I looked at different things, tried different experiments, but yeah, none of them really worked. So I ended up with this guy here. This guy here was painted pure white all over. Retouched up his saddle work, but yeah, he was painted all white all over. Then what I basically did, I gave him a coat of, spin him round, this guy here, apocryphy white. As you can see, it's not actually a white, it's more of a light grey. But what it does do, it tints the white, or tints the shadows of the white. Then basically what I did was I dry brushed a couple of times over the top of the white, then just added the colours for the bottoms of the fetlocks and things like that. But yeah, I must admit, it looks quite good. It dries beautifully, really, really matte colour. Whether that was to do with the Citadel paint or the amount of dry brushing I put over the top, but anyway, it works really well on the horses, I must admit. So I'm assuming a light grey will work the same, but I think let's experiment further with that. So I thought I'd move on to see if it works with infantry or this guy here. This guy's going to be Italian. I think I've got 3 units to paint of these guys here. Sorry if that keeps going in and out of focus, but yeah, you get the idea. He's yeah, so that's the same technique, white all over, the apocryphy white wash or contrast over the whole thing, and then dry brushed over with white. I've picked out his white belts, straps and things just to make them pop a little bit better. So yeah, I mean it's all right. It's got quite a bit of work to do to finish him off. This guy here, I actually painted this guy here. I literally painted light grey and then dry brushed the white and then picked out the white again. Pretty similar to what I used to do to my Austrians I painted previous. Actually, get that out of the way. These guys here. So a similar technique to that, slightly less messing around, because I would then probably go over with a wash over the whole thing and then start picking things out again. So it's slightly speeded up the version. It's okay. It's a bit bright, a bit garish, but you know, same as the other guys with all of the all of these mates together. Won't look quite so bad. So I'm going to carry on with these guys. This guy here, just finished painting white. Might just give him a wash like I have before with the with the Austrians and see how that comes out. See if that will work better. But the majority of the other stuff I've done on these Italians has been the washes with the green black. The not quite sure what that one is. It was a pale colour. The skin tone I've used, which is peachy skin. Yeah, so that's kind of the experiments so far. So I'm going to carry on with the Italians. I've got 3 units, I think, of Italians to paint up. Then an embarrassing amount of French to paint up, and well as Russians, and yeah. So anyway, that's sort of that size. I'm going to swing over here. So this is what I've been working on. These are the Prussians that I'm slowly but surely working these guys. I've got the 4-line units in there in the centre. I've actually completed those. Just got to get some tufts sometime, but they're ready to march off the table. So they're not too bad. The other guys, I've got to get a few more bits for. Got to get the officers, mounted officers or colonels, for that one. That one I've literally pretty much only that's finished, but mounted colonel, and then these guys are reserve. The majority of them are the Games Atlantic, I think they're called. About 60 to a box. So yeah, you don't get any command, but you do get 60 infantrymen. They call it an army builder box. It's quite cool actually, I must admit. So figures are really nice. So yeah, I've got to find a drummer and a mounted colonel for that unit. Just a mounted colonel for that unit. And that unit is actually Warlord Games. I think they were Portuguese I had left over. But yeah, I mean the reserve units literally had a myriad of different uniforms. So these guys are, some units had Portuguese, some units had British supplied uniforms, and some obviously Prussians as well. So yeah, that unit needs a colonel. I think that unit needs a commander, a barometer and a colonel. I didn't bother with standards for my reserves, but yeah, you know, it's all right. It's good. Over there, the poor lonely Jaegers that I still haven't based yet. And over here are the 4 units of Prussian cavalry, Hussars. The eagle-eyed of you will spot that they're actually French Hussars with a Prussian shako. But yeah, pretty close. That'll do for me anyway. Another unit of Prussian Hussars. And these guys are Landwehr cavalry. They're actually the spare French lancers, the bodies that I had left over with sort of used up bits of pieces of uniforms from Prussians, and then I basically constructed the long-tailed jackets, which the name is unpronounceable for me at least, from green stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're not painted fantastically, but you know, with all the units together and based properly, and all the basing finished like those guys there, they look okay. As I say, the 3-foot rule, sort of that far away, I guess, sort of, yeah, they look all right. But yeah, that's basically so far what I've done with the Prussians. Yeah, I mean, it's speeded up the painting immensely, the speed paints, and but say it's a work in progress. I must admit, I'm really liking the results you get, and the speed itself is really helpful as well. So yeah, I've got the last few bits to finish off with the Prussians. 2 more line units that I've also ordered a box and some various bits and pieces to finish off the guys. Then I'm going to move on to the bit more cavalry. I'm going to get some dragoons and probably a couple of heavies as well, cavalry, just to finish them off, and then the artillery. So the bases themselves are actually from to the strongest MDF bases. Nice bases, I must admit. yeah, I'm hoping to get as much done as possible. Probably going to get 2, possibly 3 batteries of artillery to keep it going, and then, as I say, 3, maybe a few more, possibly 4 cavalry units to finish off the army, and then that'll pretty much do for the Prussians. Then I'm gonna, I must admit, I've enjoyed doing the bases. The bases look a lot fun, a lot more denser as well. They're not as wide as my original bases, as you can see in comparison. So they'll take up a bit less space. They're a bit more denser, but not much really. So yeah, it's quite like that. So I've got, oh gosh, a lot of painted French and French allies, so I'm going to go through those and start getting all those rebased as well to this sort of size. I was toying with the idea of a slightly denser base as well for the Austrians, because obviously they had large formations for their infantry. So I might go down that route, not quite sure yet, but yeah. I shall stop rambling now and I'll leave you with the long shot. As always, thanks for taking the time for watching the video. Questions and queries, leaving them in the comments, and I will get back to you. As always, bye for now.